Math isn't difficult. Math is fun. I am Neelakanta Banu Prakash and I am the fastest human calculator in the world. And we are exploring infinities. Exploring infinities is here in front of you to give you a mathematics learning experience like never before. With expert trainers from around the country, we are here to make you learn math the right way.
Hi friends, I am Hasita from Exploring Infinities, here to make math easier and more fun to learn. Many of us believe that math is a difficult subject and are scared of it. But once we start to understand our concepts and lessons better, we realize that math is in fact very interesting. So let's get started. The lesson that we are going to be discussing today is tangents and secants to a circle. Let's start by understanding the definitions of all important words in the title of this lesson, that is tangent, secant and circle. So first, let's see the definition of the word circle. Before we look at the exact definition of the word circle, let's look at some polygons. Here we can see a triangle, which is a polygon made of 3 line segments. Then we have a quadrilateral. Now we have learnt about many different types of quadrilateral in lower classes like square, rectangle, kite, rhombus, etc. So a quadrilateral is a polygon which has 4 sides. Similarly, we have examples of many other polygons having 5 sides, 6 sides and so on. Now what is common among all of these polygons? It is the fact that they are all made up using line segments. For example, a hexagon is made using 6 line segments. But in the case of a circle, do we have any line segments? No. Then what do we have? We have a collection of infinitely many points. If this is our circle, then we have many points on the circumference of the circle, of which I am showing some here. Even in between these points, there are infinitely many points present. And on joining all of these points, the figure that we obtain is called a circle. Now what is special about these points? It is the fact that there exists another fixed point, let's call it O. And this fixed point O is at the same distance from all of these points present on the circumference of the circle. So from this, how can we define a circle? We can define circle as a collection of all points on a plane which are at a constant distance from a fixed point. So in our figure, the fixed point is this point O, and the collection of all the points which are at this constant distance from point O present on this plane is called a circle. Why is it important for us to mention on a plane? That is because circle is a 2-dimensional figure. That means it has to exist in a plane and not in space. Suppose we do not mention on a plane, then collection of all points which are at a constant distance from a fixed point would give us a 3D figure. And what would that 3D figure be called? It would be a sphere. Hence, when we are trying to define a circle, which is, as I said earlier, a 2-dimensional figure, it is very important for us to mention that all these points lie on a plane. So we have covered the definition of one of the words in our title, which is circle. Let us once recollect the chapter Pair of Linear Equations in 2 Variables. In that chapter, we learnt about the various kinds of relationships that can exist between a pair of lines. What were they? The first one, these pair of lines do not have any common point. That means they do not intersect anywhere. So they are called parallel lines. Next, the pair of lines have a single common point. That means they are intersecting at one point and they are called intersecting lines. And the third kind of relationship that we learnt about is the two lines have all their points in common. That means one line lies on another line. What are these kind of lines called? They are called coincident lines. Here we studied about the relationship between a pair of lines. That means between two lines. In this chapter, we are going to study about the types of relationships that can exist between a circle and a line. And while learning about how a circle and a line can be related, we will also learn the definitions of the remaining words in our chapter's title, which is tangent and secant. Case 1. Let us consider a circle having center O and a line XY. From this figure, we can see that the line XY is not intersecting or touching the circle having center O at any point. That means the circle and the line have no common points. So here there is no particular kind of a relationship between the circle and the line. No common points. In the second case, our line XY is intersecting the circle having center O at a single point. Let this point of intersection be P. Now, since the line and circle have only one common point, we can say that this line is touching the circle at point P. In this case, line XY is known as tangent to the circle having center O. And point P is called the point of contact of tangent XY to circle having center O. In the third case, let us consider a line which is intersecting our circle at two distinct points. This is the line XY. Our circle, as usual, has center O, and this line is intersecting our circle at two distinct points A and B. Here, why is it important for us to mention that the line XY is intersecting our circle at two distinct points? Distinct means different or separate. So A and B are not the same point. By saying that this line is intersecting the circle at two distinct points, we mean that A and B are two separate points. Suppose A and B are the same point, then our third case will become our second case, where line XY is touching the circle at a single point, hence XY will become a tangent. But in third case, line XY is intersecting the circle at two different points. So in this case, line XY is called a secant to the circle having center O. Hence, secant can be defined as a line which intersects a circle at two distinct points. Now, secant XY, as we mentioned earlier, is a line. If we consider the portion of the line which lies entirely inside the circle, that is line segment AB, this line segment is known as chord to the circle. So portion of the secant which lies entirely inside the circle, that portion or line segment is called chord. Next, consider this chord AB moving closer to the center. At some point, chord AB will be passing through the center. In the case where AB passes through the center, let us call this chord CD. So here we have a chord which is passing through the center. This chord is called diameter. That means any chord of the circle which is passing through the center is known as diameter of the circle. An interesting point to note about diameter is that it is the longest chord of the circle. If we draw any chord other than CD, for example, here we have our chord AB. Let us consider some other chord PQ or another chord RS. any of these chords won't be as long as CD is. Hence, CD, which is the diameter, that means chord passing through the center, is the longest chord of our circle. Hence, diameter is the chord passing through the center of the circle and it is the longest chord of the circle. So here, we have also learned the definitions of the remaining two words in our chapter, which is tangent and secant. Let us learn some more points about tangent to the circle now. We can recollect that tangent is a line which intersects the circle at a single point, or we can say which touches the circle at a single point, and this point is known as point of contact of the tangent and the circle. As we saw in the definition of circle, a circle has infinitely many number of points. At each point, we can draw one tangent. Hence, the number of tangents that can be drawn to a circle is infinitely many. Here, we should also note that at every point on the circle, only one tangent can be drawn. So, if we consider another point Q, here we have a tangent. Let's call it AB. Now at point Q, we cannot draw any tangents other than tangent AB. Similarly, at point P, the only tangent that we can draw is XY. So, at every point on the circle, we can draw only one tangent. Now, let us look at the radius joining the center of the circle to the point of contact of our tangent XY. So at point P, we have OP, that is our radius, and XY, that is the tangent. And we can see that there are two angles being formed. One of them is angle OPY and the other one is angle OPX. Is there anything special about the measure of these angles? Let's find out now. In order to understand what is special about these angles, let us look at theorem 9.1. The statement of theorem 9.1 says, the tangent at any point of a circle is perpendicular to the radius through the point of contact. Here, we have a circle having center O and the line XY is tangent to the circle at point P. According to the statement, the tangent at any point of a circle is perpendicular to the radius through the point of contact. Here, our tangent is XY and the point of contact is P. So the radius through point of contact would be obtained on joining O and P. That means OP is the radius through point of contact. According to the statement, this radius passing through the point of contact is perpendicular to the tangent. That means OP is perpendicular to XY. Now let us look at the proof. First, let us write down what it is that we need to prove. To prove OP is perpendicular to XY. Proof. In order to prove this statement, we are going to use a method known as the method of contradiction. In this method, we assume that the statement given to us is wrong. Then, we proceed to prove that our assumption leads to a fallacy. That means, we try to prove that our assumption is wrong. So, we assumed that the statement is wrong, then we are proving that our assumption is wrong. That means, there are two negatives here. Negative into negative gives us positive. Hence, when we prove that our assumption is wrong, we finally prove that the given statement is correct. This is known as the method of contradiction. We have to mention that we are proving this theorem using the method of contradiction. We prove this using the method of contradiction. So first, we have to assume that the given statement is wrong. Assume that the given statement is wrong. That implies OP is not perpendicular to XY. Now let us consider a point Q which is not the same as point P on tangent XY. Here we are mentioning that Q is not the same as point P in order to specify the fact that Q does not lie on the circle. Point P lies on the tangent and on the circle, since it is the point of contact of our tangent and the circle. So here we are considering a point Q which is not the same as point P. Now let us join O and Q. OQ is a line segment which is intersecting the circle having center O. Let us name this point of intersection as R. Select a point Q not the same as P on tangent XY and join OQ. The point of intersection of the line segment OQ and the circle, as we thought earlier, is R. Now we can express OQ as the sum of OR and RQ. This is the distance OR and this is the distance RQ. Here OR is the radius of the circle having center O. That means OR is equal to OP, as both are radii. Hence we can write this as OQ is equal to OP plus RQ. Now what does RQ represent? It is the distance between point R and Q. Basically RQ is a distance. Hence the value of RQ should always be a positive value. So here we have OP plus a positive value. That means the value of this entire expression is always greater than OP. So we can conclude that OQ is greater than OP. That implies OQ is greater than OP. Similarly, let us consider another point on XY, say point A. Let us again join O and A. On joining O and A, we obtain the line segment OA. This line segment OA is intersecting the circle at a point. Let us call that point B. Now for line segment OA, we can express it as the sum of distances OB and BA. So OA is equal to OB plus BA. Again, OB here is a radius of the circle having center O. That means OB is equal to OP. So OB is equal to OP, as they are both radii. So we can replace OB with OP here and write this as OA is equal to OP plus BA. Similar to the case of OQ, BA represents distance. It is the distance between point B on the circumference of circle and point A lying on tangent XY. So since BA is a distance, its value should always be a positive number. That means OA is equal to OP plus something positive. OP plus something positive is always greater than OP. Hence, this expression is greater than OP. From this, we can conclude that OA is greater than OP. Here, the points A and Q are not any specific points. A and Q could be any point lying on tangent XY which is not the same as point P. That means, if we consider some other point C, D, E and so on, how many ever points we consider on this tangent XY, when we join O to these points, the distances that we obtain, that means here in our example OC, OD, OE etc., these distances will always be greater than OP. So when we consider any point on tangent xy which is not the same point as P, the distance obtained on joining the center of our circle to this point will always be greater than radius OP. So we can conclude that the shortest distance from the center of our circle O to the tangent xy is equal to OP, that is length of the radius. Therefore, shortest distance from point O to tangent xy is OP. Let this be our tangent xy. Let this be point O, and this is radius OP. Now we know that the shortest distance from point O to tangent xy is radius OP. What can we conclude from this? Let us look at an example to understand what conclusions can be drawn from this situation. I am standing here. In front of me, there are many shops. Infinitely many shops. All these shops lie on the same straight line. Now, there is one shop which is exactly in front of me. That means it is exactly opposite to me. If I am walking at a constant speed, which shop can I reach in the smallest amount of time? Reaching this shop will take a lot of time. Reaching the shop next to it will take less time compared to the first shop, but this will also take a lot of time. So, as we go on considering all the shops, coming from left to right, the shop exactly in front of me seems to be the shop which is the closest to me. Then, there are shops on the right to this shop, they are farther away from me. I used this example in order to explain to you that the shop which is directly in front of me, the one which we are denoting using X, this shop is the closest to me. So the shop which is directly in front of me, which is exactly opposite to me, is the shop which is the closest shop to me. Here we have to remember that all of these shops lie on the same straight line. Here we replace me by this point O and all of the shops by our tangent xy. How can we obtain the shortest distance from a point to a line? Normally we obtain this shortest distance by drawing a perpendicular from this point onto the line. That means the perpendicular distance from a point to a line is the shortest distance between them. In our case, the point that we are considering is point O and the line that we are considering is line xy. If the distance between a point and a line is the shortest distance that can exist between that point and that line, then that distance, in our case OP, has to be perpendicular to the line. Hence, we can conclude that OP is perpendicular to xy. But in our assumption, we assumed that OP is not perpendicular to xy. That means our assumption is wrong. Our assumption has led to a fallacy. It means a wrong statement. This is theorem 9.1. In our assumption, we assumed that theorem 9.1 is wrong. So here we have one negative statement. Then we proved that the assumption is also wrong. As we discussed earlier, negative into negative gives us positive. Hence, what we proved here, that OP is perpendicular to xy, is correct. So the statement that we have to prove has been proved. Hence, we can say that the tangent at any point of a circle is perpendicular to the radius through the point of contact. Let us once review the steps that we have gone through in order to prove this statement. The statement says the tangent at any point of a circle is perpendicular to the radius through the point of contact. Here we are considering a circle having center O and a line xy which is tangent to this circle at point P. Radius at point P is OP. So the statement that we have to prove is OP is perpendicular to xy. In order to prove this theorem, we are using the method of contradiction. First, we selected a point Q on tangent xy which is not the same as P. Then we joined OQ and we considered the point of intersection of line segment OQ and the circle to be R. So we were able to express OQ as the sum of OR and RQ. But OR is equal to OP since OP and OR are radii of the same circle. Hence, we wrote that OQ is equal to OP plus RQ. Here, RQ represents a distance. So the value of RQ should always be greater than 0. That means RQ is always a positive value. Now OP plus a positive value will always be greater than OP. From this, we could conclude that OQ is greater than OP. Similar to this, no matter how many points we consider on tangent xy which are not the same as point P, like point C, A, D, E, etc., when we join these points to the center of the circle, the distances that we obtain are always greater than OP. That means the shortest distance from point O to tangent xy is OP. When the distance between a point and a line is the shortest distance between them, this distance would be perpendicular to the line. Based on this statement, we could conclude that the shortest distance between O and xy, which is line OP, is perpendicular to xy. That means OP is perpendicular to xy. But initially we assumed that OP is not perpendicular to xy. That means our assumption has been proved to be wrong. If our assumption is wrong, it means that the initial statement is correct. And the initial statement says that OP is perpendicular to xy. Hence, we can finally conclude that the tangent at any point to a circle is perpendicular to the radius passing through its point of contact. So this is the proof to our statement 9.1. Why did we look at this statement? While discussing the concept of tangent, we had a doubt about whether the measures of angle OPY and OPX have anything special about them. What are these angles OPY and OPX? They are the angles formed at the point of intersection of line segment OP, which is our radius, and line XY, which is our tangent. So these are the two angles. Now we know that there is indeed something special about these angles, and that is OPY is equal to OPX is equal to 90 degrees. Why? Because tangent at any point to a circle, here the point that we are considering is point P, is always perpendicular to the radius passing through its point of contact. That means XY is perpendicular to OP. Hence, angle OPX and angle OPY are equal to 90 degrees. This is our theorem 9.1. Let us conclude this class here. I would suggest all of you to go through theorem 9.1 again and again until you understand it properly, because in next class we are going to be looking at the converse of theorem 9.1. Also, when I am explaining anything, if possible, all of you maintain a notebook and write down whatever I write along with me. Then you will be able to understand what I am explaining more clearly. So let's meet again in next class. Until then, bye.
And so we come to an end to today's lecture. Thanks a lot for watching this, and stay tuned for the upcoming ones. Don't forget to follow @fastesthumancalculator and @exp.infi on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel.